welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really focusing in on something vital for IELTS success, vocabulary.
That's right.
We're using a fantastic guide here, 50 Niki IELTS from Kokrowash H at Learn English Hub. Think of it as a shortcut to mastering some really key words.
Exactly. And our goal here, our mission, if you like, isn't just to list definitions for these 50 words. We really want to dig into them, understand the nuances, see how they actually work in different parts of the test, and really explain why getting these right can seriously boost your score across the board. We're aiming for, practical understanding that builds genuine confidence.
Okay, makes sense. Let's get into our first group then. We could call this category something like understanding the basics or stepping back to understand. We're starting with analyze, assess, concept, demonstrate, and establish. These immediately feel quite academic, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. And what's interesting, I think, is how knowing the subtle differences between words that seem similar can give you a real advantage.
Like analyze and assess.
Exactly like analyze and assess. They both involve looking closely, right? But analyze, that suggests going deeper, breaking something down into its parts, looking at the relationships between them. Like the example, scientists analyze data to understand climate change.
Okay.
So understanding how to analyze isn't just about the word, it's about showing that critical thinking in your writing, which is, a big deal for getting a higher score. Assess is more about judging value or quality.
Ah, right.
Like the teacher will assess your writing skills in the exam. Seeing that difference, it can really sharpen how you understand reading passages and help you pick the most precise word when you're writing yourself.
That is a useful difference. Okay, and then concept. Seems simple enough, maybe. But in academic stuff, you're always dealing with these abstract concepts. The example given is the concept of global warming is widely discussed in media. So being able to, not just spot a concept, but explain it, that seems like a key skill the IELTS tests.
It really is. And words like demonstrate and establish, you see those all the time in research contexts and evidence-based arguments.
Right.
Demonstrate means, showing or proving something clearly, like the study demonstrates the effects of pollution on health. You'll see that when results are presented.
Okay.
And establish means setting something up or determining it firmly. The government established new regulations for public safety. Spotting these in reading helps you follow the argument, see what conclusions are being drawn.
Got it. Okay, moving on. Let's look at a group of words that kind of act like signposts, guiding you through the information. Indicate, significant, source, theory, and trend.
Yeah, these are so important for finding your way through academic texts or lectures. Indicate is like a little flag, isn't it? It points towards key information or findings. For example, research indicates that regular exercise improves mental health straight away. An important result is coming. Seeing indicate helps you sort of prioritize what you're hearing or reading.
And significant, that word just screams, pay attention, right? There has been a significant increase in population growth.
Definitely.
When you see significant, it usually points to data or changes that you really need to notice, either for answering questions or maybe for summarizing later. Catching those significant findings in listening could be the difference, couldn't it? Between getting a key question right or missing it.
Oh, absolutely. And identifying the source, the main source of energy in many countries is fossil fuels. That's just fundamental critical thinking.
Yeah.
Knowing where information comes from helps you judge how reliable it is, maybe spot any bias. That's a skill that IELTS subtly checks all the time.
And theory. Einstein's theory of relativity changed modern physics. It's important to remember that a theory in science or academia isn't just a guess, right? It's a well-supported explanation.
Exactly. It's not just a hunch. Understanding that helps you interpret discussions properly in reading and listening.
And the last one in this group, trend. There is a growing trend towards online learning. Spotting a trend helps you understand how things are changing, the direction they're moving in. That comes up a lot in reading and listening, especially with data or social changes.
Definitely. Big picture stuff.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit. Vocabulary that's really useful for formal writing, specifically thinking about IELTS writing task 2, where you need to build those solid arguments we have. Advantage, disadvantage, consequently in contrast, and furthermore.
Right, these are absolutely crucial for task 2. You often need to show both sides of an issue, right?
Yeah, balanced arguments.
So advantage and disadvantage are your basic building blocks for that. An advantage is a plus point. One advantage of online learning is flexibility. A disadvantage is a negative. A major disadvantage of social media is privacy concerns. Using them well shows that balanced view the examiners look for.
And then the connectors, the linking words that make your writing flow. Consequently, shows cause and effect. He did not study well. Consequently, he failed the exam. Helps connect ideas logically.
Precisely. And in contrast is perfect for showing differences. In contrast to traditional learning, online courses are more flexible. Lets you set up alternative points clearly.
And furthermore, great for adding more weight to your point, isn't it?
Yeah, building the argument.
Eating healthy is important.
Yeah.
Furthermore, it improves concentration. It signals you're adding more support or depth.
Exactly. It adds that extra layer. Okay, so let's look at some more formal writing words, ones that help you show nuance and justify what you're saying. Nevertheless, potential, justify, alternative, and impact.
Nevertheless, feels quite powerful.
Yeah.
Like you acknowledge something opposing, but stick to your point. The task was difficult. Nevertheless, he completed it successfully.
It is powerful. It shows you can see complexity but still hold your position. Very useful.
And potential. That's about possibilities, right?
Right. Yes, what could happen, or the capacity something has. Solar energy has the potential to replace fossil fuels. You often need to discuss potential solutions or outcomes in essays.
And justify. Oh, this is central to academic writing. You must justify your opinion with strong evidence in writing task 2.
You absolutely must. Just giving an opinion isn't enough in IELTS. You have to back it up, give reasons, provide evidence. That's what justify means in this context.
Right. And alternative, discussing different options.
Electric cars are a good alternative to gasoline cars. Showing you can think about different possibilities demonstrates broader understanding.
And finally, impact. Such a useful, broad word for talking about effects. Technology has a great impact on modern society. You can use it for so many topics.
It's incredibly versatile, yes. Okay, let's pivot now to the speaking section. Words that are really handy for parts 1, 2, and 3, where you're sharing your own thoughts, your experiences. We've got opinion, experience, challenge, improve, and prefer.
These feel very natural for conversation. Opinion is direct. In my opinion, reading is the best way to improve vocabulary. You have to state your views clearly in the speaking test.
Definitely. And experience is key for telling stories or talking about things you've done. I had a great experience traveling to France last year. Sharing relevant experiences makes your answers more real, more authentic.
Then challenge. Good for talking about difficulties. Learning a new language can be a challenge at first. Talking about challenges, maybe how you overcame them, can make what you say more interesting.
It really can. And improve, talking about getting better at something. Practicing daily can improve your English skills significantly. Discussing improvement or plans to improve shows you're, engaged and proactive.
And prefer, for expressing choices. I prefer watching documentaries rather than movies. Simple, direct, very common in conversation and in the test.
Exactly. Okay, a few more that are great for speaking, particularly about describing things and sharing memories. Situation, describe, common, opinion again, see how often that comes up, and memorable.
Situation seems important for setting the scene. One difficult situation I faced was losing my passport while traveling. Explaining the situation clearly helps the examiner follow your story.
Context is key. And just the verb describe. Can you describe your favorite place to visit? Being able to describe things well shows off your vocabulary and fluency.
And common, like common problems or things people do. A common problem in cities is traffic congestion. Good for discussing everyday topics, especially in part 1.
Very useful for those general questions. And opinion, like we said, pops up everywhere. What is your opinion about online education? You need to be ready to give it.
Right. And memorable for those standout experiences. My most memorable experience was my trip to Japan. Using words like memorable lets you use richer language, maybe connect a bit more personally.
Definitely adds color. Okay, now let's look at words for quantifying and qualifying. Adding precision. These are useful everywhere. Speaking, reading, listening. Significant, yes, again. Dramatic, approximately, decline, and increase.
Wow, significant really is a VIP word here.
It really is. There has been a significant rise in unemployment rates. It just signals importance, magnitude. You need to recognize it and use it.
And dramatic. That suggests a big, maybe sudden change. There was a dramatic change in weather conditions last week.
Yeah, it often carries a sense of impact, maybe surprise, more punch than just big.
And approximately. useful for estimating. The building is approximately 50 years old. Shows you could be precise even when you don't have the exact number.
Good point. It shows flexibility in language and decline and increase. Absolutely fundamental for talking about trends, data. You see them everywhere.
There's been a decline in smoking rates. The number of online learners is increasing.
Exactly. You have to understand these inside out for interpreting charts, graphs, listening passages about changes.
Okay. Next up, words about cause, effect, and necessity. Particularly helpful for reading and listening, I'd imagine. Affect, require, develop, efficient, and major.
Definitely. Understanding how one thing affects another, climate change affects millions of people worldwide, that's key for understanding relationships in texts, cause and effect.
And require, knowing what's needed for something. The job requires excellent communication skills. Important for understanding instructions, descriptions.
Very practical. And develop. Things are always developing, aren't they? Scientists are developing new treatments for cancer. It relates to progress, innovation, finding solutions.
And efficient.
Yeah.
Getting things done well, without waste. Public transport is an efficient way to reduce traffic congestion. Comes up a lot when talking about solutions or systems.
It does. And finally, major. Identifying the main points, the major concerns. A major concern in cities is air pollution. Helps you zero in on the core message of a text or discussion.
Right, cutting through the noise. Okay, now a specific focus. Vocabulary for academic writing task 1, describing those charts and graphs. Changes in stability we have. Increase, decrease again. Fluctuate, peak, and remain stable.
Yes, back to increase and decrease. They are the absolute basics for describing data trends. The population increased by 10%. The unemployment rate decreased significantly. You can't do task 1 without them.
But you need more nuance sometimes. Fluctuate for when things go up and down.
Exactly. The stock market fluctuated throughout the year, describes that instability.
And peak, the highest point. The sales peaked in December. Crucial for identifying key moments in the data.
Very crucial. And don't forget, remain stable. Sometimes the important thing is that nothing changed much. The inflation rate remained stable over the last 5 years. Noting stability is just as important as noting change.
Good point.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got even more precise words for task 1 trends. Drop, gradual, steady, sharp, and rapid.
Yes, adding more detail. Drop implies a sudden, often significant fall. The temperature dropped dramatically last night, much stronger than just decrease.
And gradual, slow and steady change.
Pretty much. There was a gradual increase in the number of students. It emphasizes the slow pace over time.
How is that different from steady? The company showed steady growth.
Steady also means consistent, but maybe without the emphasis on slowness that gradual has. Just consistent, predictable change.
Okay, and sharp. That sounds fast and noticeable. There was a sharp decline in tourism.
Exactly. Quick, significant change, up or down, like a steep line on a graph.
And rapid also means fast. The use of technology is growing at a rapid pace.
Yes, both sharp and rapid indicate speed, but sharp often feels more abrupt, maybe more vertical on a graph, while rapid emphasizes the overall fast pace of change. Subtle differences, but useful.
Wow, that's a lot of great vocabulary. So how do we actually make these stick? What does the source suggest?
Well, the Learn English Hub resource gives some really solid practical advice. It suggests basically you need to use them.
Right.
Try to actively work 5 or maybe 10 of these words into your writing and speaking each day. Use them when you're talking about different topics. And crucially, review them regularly so they don't just fade away.
That makes total sense. You can't just read a list, can you? You have to actually integrate them, use them actively in different situations to really get them.
Exactly right. Passive understanding isn't enough for the IELTS. You need active recall and usage. So, to wrap up this deep dive, we've really unpacked these 50 key English words from that Learn English Hub guide. Words chosen specifically because they pop up so much in the IELTS exam. We've looked at what they mean, seen examples, and talked about why getting comfortable with them can really make a difference across all 4 sections of the test.
So here's something to think about as you go forward. When you read something new or listen to a discussion, try to consciously think, how accurately can I describe what's happening? Can I pinpoint the changes, the significance, the main ideas using words like the ones we've talked about today? How could having this richer vocabulary not just help your test score, but maybe even sharpen how you understand the world around you?
That's a great thought. And of course, for more help, definitely check out the Learn English Hub YouTube channel for other resources.
Absolutely. Keep learning. Keep practicing.